All right. Hi, everyone. This is the Walking Taco Show. This is my friend Joe Medina.
How's it going? And this is my friend Ryan Stack.
Nice for everybody
Yeah,
to
didn't
listen
even plan
in.
that. Look at us.
There you
Intros for
go.
days.
Improv. We'd be good at
Yep.
improv. Today's topic, we're just going to talk about growing up in California, Big Bear, California, where my friend Joe grew up, and compared to growing up in Iowa. We'll put a few jokes in there, and we'll talk about this together.
All the jokes will be at the expense of people from Nebraska. Right. Right.
Oh,
That's
God.
what we're doing.
Nebraska. And don't get me started about Missouri.
No, right? I think
I'm sure you can say the same about people from Utah, right? Like, oh, those.
really I think anybody outside of it's like a nice state. People like is there a universally beloved state? I mean, I feel like this immediately launches into an interstate fight but I think everybody can agree we could all pile on to like
I think Montana, like
South
nobody can
Dakota.
hate
Yeah.
on Montana.
No, yeah, Montana's
South
yeah.
Dakota, I mean, being from the Midwest, it's just across the river from, you know, where Iowa is. And I people talk bad about South Dakota all the time. Until they grow or go to the Black Hills, and then they'll change your mind a little bit. But still, the Dakotas,
Which one had a
I
Deadwood in it?
that's South Dakota, and
South
you
Dakota.
have to go. Sometime maybe we should take our boys when they're older. We'll take them there. Super, one of the best places I've ever been. The move, what is the HBO series?
Yeah.
Recommend watching that before you go because it does it pretty good justice.
Oh, I could go for a refresher, but yeah, I loved that show, and
Mhm.
I love me a good like Western ghost town. So, well, is it still going? Is there still like stuff happening in Deadwood?
So it's like a gambling town.
Hmm.
This is my experience. When I was 14 years old, I do know some people who've been there more recently, and they say it's still fantastic. It's a small kind of tourism town. I would say it's basically, I don't even know how many residents they actually have. But it's a tourism town, bars, casinos, mostly hotels. Um, and then they have like wildlife areas outside of town. It's great.
All right, yeah,
Recommend
it's
it.
good.
It's a good Midwest trip. I'm looking forward. I'm a Californian now. I will say you'll notice it. I get a little bit of height. What's the term? Hoity-toity?
Hoity-toity. You get a little hoity-toity,
Yeah,
just a touch.
now and again. But yeah, definitely one of the Midwest things. And when your kids get to water park age where you don't have to watch them, Wisconsin Dells is great. Just because
Keep that in mind.
I'm not looking forward to going there. My wife wants to go there because of all the good things I've said about it. But I'm like, oh, let's just wait till the kids can take care of themselves and just be like, hey, meet us at 12 o'clock at the Burger Shack and make sure you're check in, make sure you're alive, and then go back to doing whatever you do.
Yeah, I really only have like three things on my bucket list for whenever I get out to the Midwest. It's like eat some kind of buttered noodle dish, get lost in a corn maze, and then have the geekiest kid completely crush me at basketball. If I can get those three things like accomplished, then I'll be happy.
Okay, well, I don't know any of those things you might not be able to find in Iowa. The noodles, not for sure where you're going to get that. Chicken noodle, they got that all day. Those old German ladies make that egg pasta noodle. Um, I think you have to go to, I think you'd really enjoy it because you're a man of cinema. Would the Field of Dreams?
Yeah.
That you'd really like that. That's pretty good. I think growing up in Iowa, and everybody will tell you this, and I think it goes on both sides of the river, either, for a little bit on the side of the Missouri, other side of the Mississippi, but breakfast pizza is what you have to get. I don't think you'll meet a single Midwestern who doesn't know what that is. Um, but yes, if you're there, you have to try it. Casey's
All
perfect.
right. So run me
Casey's
down
usually
like
has the best.
perfect breakfast pizza. What is that? Like, what's the base? What is it? How does it?
Oh, so it's got eggs, cheese. You can either pick between sausage or bacon. There's extra grease on there too. I like to dab it. Here's my hoity-toity. I'm a California now. I like to dab it with the paper towel, get some of the grease off the top, but it's good. It's nice and hearty. We will go there sometime and we'll go fishing, and I will get us one. Actually,
And
we'll go.
is
We
it
should
it's
go to
on
an
like a
Iowa game.
pizza crust or is it like a biscuit? What's the?
It's a pizza crust, like it's an actual
Oh,
pizza. Like
okay.
we can pre-or you can pre-order one in the morning and go pick it up. So when we went to tailgate Iowa games, and I took friends from the army or other friends, my brother and his stuff, I would always call into Casey's the night before, go and pick up a breakfast pizza, eat it before going to the tailgate or at the tailgate. But yes, breakfast pizzas, and then I think the next large food, I think it's got to be the pork tenderloin. Bring it out, basically double plate size fried piece of pork on a small, hopefully seeded bun with some onions, some mustard. That's the go-to. So I think that's
That
the
sounds
two
pretty good.
things. And walking tacos. That's a graduation thing, though. I don't know. I
Special
run
occasions
into
only.
Yeah, I run into a lot of people. You'll have to clear this up. So, do you guys have graduations, like parties after you graduate? Like here in Midwest, it's very common. Hand out graduation invitations. People show up at your garage or whatever, and then look at family photos of you growing up, and then they have a meal, and then they take off.
Yeah, there's like little graduation parties. I mean, it is a little probably. I think like in the LA area, Orange County stuff like that. You get a little fancier now. I think usually they're big events at places. There's lots of like venues and places to be and go to. The beach is always a huge one. So, um, not too many. I'm trying to think. At least where I know, and up in Big Bear, there weren't like too many garages. A lot of people just parking on the streets. So I don't know, cabin in the woods.
So, what did you do? Did your dad have them out to the gentleman's farm and just what did he whip up some kebabs on the grill?
Oh no, it was yeah. I think we all had like a joined one up at my friend Derek's like cabin, and it was a lot of it was just cream cheese, like a block of cream cheese with like a jalapeno jam on it, or like a spicy jam, Ritz crackers. Cheez-Its were huge for some reason. I think teenagers like you get by on what you can afford, which
Right.
is Shasta Cola and Cheez-Its in a cabin in the woods.
You had wine there, I'm sure.
Eat drank age appropriate drinks. That
Oh,
was
my parents.
completely.
Full bar for any adult who showed up at the like I said, it was pulled pork and walking tacos. So there's the two things.
Yeah.
And then our salads were not salads. Everybody in the Midwest is probably listening to this. We'll laugh at this, but they have things called it's like
I'm picturing you
marshmallow
don't have to tell me.
salad.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna say
it's
like a marshmallow salad or like a ham salad where it's just like
yeah,
ham and mayonnaise with frozen peas in it.
pure
Something weird.
jello with candy in it. Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you cannot rely on a healthy Midwest salad. So if they say, hey, there's going to be salad there, don't be like, oh, there's going to be a healthy option. It's going to be the worst option there. And that's the typical Midwest dinner holiday as well. Um, you're really going for only two things, protein and mashed potatoes.
Yeah. Well, I know. So you're up in Central, so it's a little bit different because I grew up in Southern California. But there, as long as you had like a little bit of chill and you were kind of just like a relatively okay person, everyone also got like honorary Mexican status, which was nice. So a lot of the food and the parties and everything you were getting usually came catered from one of the carnicerias or something like that, where you can get kind of like some good food, good time. Uh,
Sick.
which
That's
is hard to find up here in Washington. It's getting better, but like the being as far away from the Mexican border as you can get in the continuous continental United States has made good Mexican food kind of hard.
I will say if some people came to visit here in California and from the Midwest or When my family comes, I always recommend them going to, we go to Gordo's here in the city. I love Gordo's
Mhm.
burritos. And then just go straight to the beach. Like it's a 6 block drive. It's super short. And you get there lickety split and just eat a burrito on a tailgate. There's nothing more Californian than that. Didn't get that growing up in Iowa, that's for sure.
I will say
You
I
grew
do
up
enjoy
interior.
a good California beach. I miss those. Every once in a while, I'll
Yeah,
get a hankering. And in Washington, it's just it's what I imagine like the English coast to be like, just a bunch of like cold, wet rocks and angry seagulls. But
that's true. Washington is super cold. Don't You'll go to those beaches though, and they're like you said, all rock, no sand, and the locals will swim in it. It's kind of the same here in Northern California, though. Like people will swim here in the bay. I've had people offer me to go join swim clubs here in the bay. One, I'm not nearly in the shape that they are, like, ultra
Mhm.
marathon people. I can swim, don't get me wrong, but there's no way I can keep up. And then, the seal that doesn't keep up
Right.
gets eaten.
Yeah, there's
So
sharks in the
that's
bay, right? Like, there's no way you
lots
get
of
to
them.
go in there. Hmm.
I think there was a thing you can Google up, and I think there was a 264 sharks that they think were in the bay at one time. When I Googled it, I was like, okay, I'm not
Did
gonna
you
go.
ever go scuba? In the did you do that down in the
Yes.
bay?
First, when I first moved here, actually, I worked as a
Mhm.
commercial diver and we did cleaning some boats, changing zincs and changing propellers, basically saving people money so they don't have to dry dock their boat because there's so many yachts and things here.
Mhm.
But yes, and it was nothing like snorkeling and diving. I dove once in American Lake with friends, and then once in the Puget Sound with the same friend. And the sound is so much cleaner. But I think the San Francisco Bay has the most rivers running into it. So it's got a bunch of, depending on the tide, it can be clear or it can be nasty. Most of the time it was nasty. um, but yes, the water is warmer. Don't get me wrong, warmer. Yes. I don't swim here. I do have the wetsuits. I want to get into kayaking.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever do anything like that growing up?
No, so I lived on lake. I don't swim. I'm terrified of water. It's just all part of my brilliant plan. That way, if I'm ever in a massive shipwreck, I just sink to the bottom right away and die, and everybody else gets like eaten by sharks. But growing up, so we were a ski resort town, Big Bear. So snowboarding was a requirement. So if you wanted to have any kind of social life, and then ATVing, off roading, a lot of mudding. It was weird being like in Southern California, but being at like 7,500 feet elevation up in the mountains, snows all winter. So it was sort of like a weird little kind of different area. But because we get all the snow, you have just all these people coming from all over. So it was really bizarre because on one part, 75% of the year, it's not even like a one horse town. It's like half a horse. Maybe we get like a donkey that roams through, stuff like that. Couple thousand people at most, and then all of a sudden it balloons up to like 100,000 people. Everyone in Southern California wants to come up to ski. You get all these celebrities, and it's just like everything kind of comes to life, and then it dwindles and it becomes sort of like a ghost town again for the rest of the year. Um, and that's when you actually do things. Is when there's nobody else around. That's when you can explore and go into the woods, and you're the only person there for hundreds of miles, which is nice. But there's Big Bear Lake, but you don't want to swim in that. It's mostly just catfish and kind of like a sludge.
That's basically every farm pond I've ever swam in. So so now as an adult, when I go on vacation and things like that, I didn't grow up in a tourism town. I always think to myself, I was like, man, if I was a teenager in a tourism town, I would love it. Like a seasonal tourism town. Is that the case? Or are you kind of like, oh, I hate tourists? Because, you go to Colorado, you get some of those locals who absolutely hate it. I would have been that kid, be like, oh, yes, I'm going to thrive off of I'm a golden retriever type guy. I'm going to talk to all
Yeah.
these out of towners.
No, I look back on it. Maybe it was a missed opportunity for me. I'm definitely, I think, more prickly than you are. Uh, I like people. I'm outgoing, but like I'm not maybe as welcoming to new people as it may have been. But yeah, no, we had a term for them. We called them flatlanders. Like anybody who didn't like reside on
Flatlanders.
the, yeah, they were called flatlanders because they didn't live up in the mountains like we did. And I hated them. No, it was rough. Like all my spots get blown up all of a sudden. Like and you have an abandoned little like alcove out in the woods that you can go kind of explore, or there's like an old like abandoned complex or mine shaft, and all of a sudden there's just people everywhere, and you can't go to it. Or like all the local eateries that you normally would get your food at are all of a sudden just packed with all these strangers. But now I see that there were lots of opportunities to sort of meet new people and
I
kind
was
of
a
like talk with them.
lifeguard.
But
You ever think about being that sexy brown lifeguard at the Big Bear Resort and teenage job galore, maybe sneak in some half drank mimosas on the side?
oh no, well, one, I was too much of a. I would have reported. I would have been like, "Oh, this guy only drank half his drink. Maybe we could refund him the rest." And then I would have poured it down the sink to ensure that it is properly disposed, so nobody accidentally consumed it. But I don't know. I think there was like ski patrol. That was sort of like the cool job to have, like hanging up on the mountain. I did not. I did. I worked at a gun range. That was my job seasonally as I call it the title of safety supervisor, but really I would just load the trap machine, and then like anytime somebody yelled "pool," I'd have to push the little button, and a little clay pigeon would fly out. But it's pretty neat,
Man, you were made for the army. I can't believe
right?
it. You're
I
not as
just
hoity-toity
listen to
as I
people
thought.
with guns telling me what to do. I'm like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, there you go. See, yeah, um, that would have been great. That would have been fun. Midwest, I believe everybody after the age of 16 or something was maybe, we had parties, you know, cornfield bonfires. If your kids are ever going to a cornfield or out to a bonfire in the Midwest, and there's going to be people there, they're drinking. Um,
But not too
Parties in the
much, right? Because
cornfields.
you have to go
No,
work at the
responsibly.
Piggly
Just
Wiggly or something
responsibly.
the next day, right?
Yeah, right. Roguing into tasseling. I don't. So you worked at a gun range. My first job ever was roguing into tasseling, and that's something um, that and a lot of people don't understand. Some Californians know it, like the people who work and pick the fields and stuff. So if I talk to people here like that, that's how I start off. I'm like, oh, by the way, my first job was roguing into tasseling, and like we instantly hit it off because we have that horrible field work like
Mm.
memory. And then I was lucky enough, I was complaining about it to my dad because I used to get up at 3:30, ride my bike outside of town. We'd all get on a school bus. That's what they drive us to different fields on. And then they just line you all up. Kids, you get the cheapest shoes you could buy at Walmart, the dirtiest clothes, and you just rogue and detassel all day. And it sucked. Absolutely sucked.
So
Um,
the hours are bad, but the pay was terrible, right?
yes. Yeah. I mean, you're only making it was like $7 an hour back then.
Oh man.
The hazards. I saw a kid get depleted, literally depleted by a deer. Because those cornfields, the rows are so thick. I remember looking over, and it's like one of those like signs or one of those movies where you just see, and this just your buddy just gets plowed and taken away out of scene.
Sorry, that's so
Uh,
dramatic. I'm sorry, that's not funny, but
you
geez.
just all you hear is rustling, right? You just hear a bunch of rustling. It sounds like a freight train coming through a cornfield, and then all of a sudden you look over and you do
And
two
Bambi's mom
four
just comes
rows to
by and
person,
lays you
yeah.
out.
And you look over and your buddy just takes it to the chest and it drags him a little bit. You remember those old YouTube videos where Kimbo Slice used to get paid like what they
Oh
pay
yeah,
him in
yeah,
cheeseburgers to hit people
yeah.
in pads? Like, hey, run across the middle and get hit. That's what it looked like. The sound too.
Mm.
It's like I'll never forget that one of the funnier animal experiences of my moment of life. moments in my life. And yeah, don't sleep on a white-tailed deer playing linebacker for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
It's a general rule. I just don't mess with nature. You know, those guys are crazy.
I have a way with animals, so I'm actually pretty good. I don't mess with them by any means. I do enjoy watching the videos of people messing with animals and getting their
Yeah.
comeuppance.
All right. I'm always my favorite are the ones that are like people at Yosemite or whatever trying to mess with the bison.
Oh,
You
for
know,
sure, for
it's like
sure.
why?
Um, did you growing up have cell phones? I know Midwest kids, I think, get them a little bit later. I don't can't speak of now, but back in the day, I couldn't get one until I was like 16, 17.
Yeah, I got one. I think I was around 16 or 17. So ours was the age of the Nokia brick. But actually,
Yep, same.
my family at first, they got all of us, like me and my brothers, Motorola, like push to talk phones. I don't know if you remember those. Like they would chirp when you like, they were basically just
Huh.
walkie talkies. And because it was free if you used it in walkie talkie mode, that was how my dad insisted on us using it. So whenever we'd like, I'd be at school, all of a sudden my little phone would like chirp, and then my dad to everybody, would come in and be like, "Hey, you better come home after school. You need to like clean your room. There's dirty underwear everywhere," or something like that. I'm like, "Cool, Dad, thanks." So eventually, I upgraded to the Nokia brick.
We did prepay, and my family was that family who had a ring code. Like if it rings twice, call
Yeah.
home. If it rings three times, get on a phone and call your mom or dad or something like
Yep.
that.
Yeah. Remember when it was 25? This is, yeah, I feel like now we genuinely sound like old people. It used to be like a joke, but like it would cost money to text people for like every text
Mm.
message. So every time you text somebody, it was like a quarter. So
Yeah.
you had to make
Or
sure you got like all your info in.
we had one of those plans where it charged by the letter, like you get X letters for a month. I was like, Mom, this is a ripoff. I don't understand. You're getting your cell phone from Walmart. All right, we have a 10
Well,
minute warning. But yes, um, yeah, growing up in Iowa, very, very quaint. The Heidi tidy people are the people who are like, I go skiing, but water skiing. They have their houses on the rivers and the lakes and things like that. That's how you tell. Um, yeah, the Heidi tidy people around here. Now that I live in California, skiing is Tahoe. If Tahoe is a pretty hard place to get a place at, so
oh
any
yeah,
caviar, like you
is it
say.
blown up? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you and I both have backgrounds in teaching. I was a TA at Rascaba over in Oakland, and I had two twin girls basically Porsche me. Oh, you don't have a ski chalet in Tahoe? I'm like, no. So what did you do growing up if your family didn't have one of those? I was like, ice fished. And yeah, basically like, so you were poor, poor, Mr. Stack. You were poor, poor. I was like, I guess I was. I guess
Right.
I
I mean, if
was.
you have to fish out in the winter, it must be hard times, right?
I'm not a fan of it.
No,
My
it's
family
also on
is.
my list of things to do. I'm surprised we didn't find a minute to try to do that when we were up in Alaska.
You watch. I don't even know where you'd be able to do that in Alaska because the lakes are so deep. Have you ever watched? You go watch the movie Grumpy Old Men, and
Oh
that's
yeah, love Grumpy
basically
Old
my
Men.
dad's
Yeah.
life in the
Oh
winter.
okay.
Um, yes, but no. If you want to go ice fishing, we'll get you hooked up. My dad will hook you up. My
Well,
wife
I don't want to
loves
fish
it.
with your family because I've seen like how Travis fishes, and he's like the fish whisperer. What I don't need is to.
What
I need to
you don't
fish
want to
with.
make it too easy on yourself because literally fishing with my brother is the best thing ever. He will do everything for you. Like even now,
Oh
like
yeah.
I know how to do all the stuff, but I'm even like, hey Travis, can you just blow on this a little bit and toss it in the water and it hits every time. Our friend Cody, ask him, came back to Iowa, put him on the fish. We were literally out, left the bars around 9 o'clock, went down to the river, and we're like, you give us 4 minutes, you'll catch a fish. Caught a 15 pound, a bull carp or something like that. It was huge, and a buffalo, and loves it. Still talks about it today. His
Yeah.
hick his hick trailer trash ass in Tennessee can never be happier. It's his favorite fish story ever.
I've got a famous first cast. Like I'm very lucky. I'd say maybe 3 out of 4 times, and then after that, it all runs out. So I always look like I know what I'm doing, which I enjoy. But then after the first 15 minutes, people sort of realize I'm just there for the beer.
I mean, you have to be, people are the trophy fishermen or hunters, right? And then there's people who enjoy it for the solitude and the wholesomeness of the whole thing. And that's what I'm
Oh,
into.
the
I'm
solitude.
I'm a kickback.
Can you imagine just being alone out in nature?
I love it.
So good.
Not something they did in Big Bear. That's something you grow up with in the Midwest quite frequently.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a. I think the population was like 2,700 during the summer. So while you did know everybody, and therefore everybody would kind of do something with you if you asked them, no, there was lots of opportunities to sort of just drift off into the woods. I mean, the woods is like everywhere. I don't think you haven't been down Southern California, have you? I mean, you must have.
Not really. San Diego, LA.
Yeah, we got to do a Big
Um,
Bear Day too, so you
I
can
would love
take.
to do that.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be good. You can see it's very much a because Big Bear's in like the movies and the TV shows now. Every time like someone needs to take a vacation in Southern California, that's where they go for skiing or something. So that's usually where a lot of episodes happen. Um, but I think it'd be good. Yeah, just like get lost up in the woods for a while, check out the
Yeah,
valley.
we should do it. I love it.
Yeah.
We have some things going up. We need to get people incorporated in the show. I guess Johnny Glock has been reaching out. We're gonna have to get him on the show. We should pick his brain about, current state of the military, I guess.
And just being
Uh,
he's a Floridian, right? Those guys are crazy. We could
yeah,
probably ask him about meth gators and drinking glow stick fluid and whatever else they do.
he he would be the guy to know though. If
Yeah.
from memory recalls, definitely would be the guy
I'll
to
tell you
know
what,
that
if he
kind of stuff.
doesn't have a ring of glow stick juice around his mouth when we call him, I will eat my hat.
Right. He was a big skater guy. I don't know. I guess I was the American Eagle, weird kid back in our when we were in our 20s, and he was that Vans guy. So I
Yeah.
don't. You fit into Seattle and Washington quite well. I guess Big Bear is a good helps you kind of translate into Washington pretty well. I would imagine. You
You
had the
know, it's
grunge thing. You do it right now. You got the stocking cap on.
I do. My
Um,
wife made this for me. It keeps
it
my
looks
my bald
fantastic.
head warm, so I have to keep that going. But yeah, no, the lumberjack thing, we were minor people. So the lumberjack thing is a bit of a change, but I like it. I've adapted. There's a fine line between hipster Southern Californian and hipster Pacific Northwesterner, and I like to straddle that.
Hmm. All I knew is it took me probably 2 or 3 months to figure it out. And somebody came up to me and was like, "You know what, man? You dress really nice. You do this, but you need to put on a stocking cap." And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "What are you talking about? We're going out to bars and clubs in Seattle." And they're like, "You need to put on a stocking cap." And once I put on a stocking cap, whole world changed for me. People started talking to me,
Hmm.
um, started making friends. Yeah, you
Did you
have
start drinking
to.
IPAs and getting
Yeah.
ironic tattoos?
Do I have a miss? No, we're not going to talk about that online. Um, but yes, crazy tattoo ideas. I don't have too many. I have two tattoos. Both of them I enjoy. Um, I want to get another one though.
All right. My fear is again that I'll get one and then I'll just keep getting them, and then I don't have the money for that.
You're too old. Eventually, like right now, I'm to the age. I think the
That's
age.
true. Everything is starting to get
I'm
a
sorry, but
little
if you're
wobbly.
getting tattoos after the age of, I mean, I don't want to be too drastic. I want to say 30, but let's put it at 35. Like your arms aren't getting any bigger, dude. It's just gonna look like a wrinkly, ink sac later on. Like you're not on the upper slope. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't care what you can see. Editing on videos can do a hell of a lot of stuff, but no.
Oh yeah. I think I peaked at 25, and every year has just been it was a gradual decline, but now it's sort of taken a dive. It's at 40. Once it's
I'm hoping I hit like the I'm not quite there yet, but like the late 30s, 40s, like uphill when I start getting jacked again. My kids start not waking up and taking all of my time up.
Say,
Um,
well, I haven't looked in a mirror in a couple of days, and I didn't realize that all of a sudden I'm turning into like an Indian Mel Gibson. I don't know if you've seen him lately, but just
oh
sort of
man,
like
you look great.
a
You know I love
gray,
Mel Gibson.
leathery, just tired
Love Mel
look of a
Gibson.
man.
You know I
I
love
do.
Mel
We do
Gibson.
quote. We quote the Patriot. I feel like probably a bit too much.
Hmm, that's
Or
true.
We Were Soldiers, or Lethal Weapon. Now, I haven't given it
I
any
mean,
thought, honestly, up until we just brought it up. Like Mel Gibson has played a large role in our friendship. Now that I think about it,
on deployment, we probably quoted Mel Gibson at least 20 times a day. Especially Lethal Weapon. Um,
yeah.
I do quote,
Signs,
um,
yeah, the guys.
say what you will, made some questionable decisions in his life, said some questionable stuff,
Maybe,
but the
yeah.
guy
Yeah.
makes good movies. You
Right?
can't fight it. Save Robert Downey Jr. I don't know if you ever seen that, but Robert Downey Jr. is like, hey, this crazy bastard saved my life by telling me his crazy bastard story, so I stopped becoming a crazy bastard. And look at him; he's a
Yeah,
idol for kids now.
he's yeah, Doctor Doolittle.
Who would imagine?
Eh?
Who would
Not me.
imagine? All right. We are winding down. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This is just a chat. We got a little bit off topic, but that's the way it goes. I hope you had fun listening. Take care, as always. Write it in comments if you think we could do something better, or if you want us to hit a topic. We're getting there. Take care.
Do we have
Bye.
like a heartfelt sign off, like "Be good" or "Keep on keeping on"? I don't know. We gotta figure something out, right?
Um,